What is going on, superstar? This is Angus of Boss Fitness, and thanks so much for taking the time to check out this video. I really appreciate it. You're in for an absolute treat today as I share with you an alpha female mastery success story, and this one is really cool. It's like one that I've never actually done before. Typically when I coach people and they've completed my coaching program, I will actually have an interview call like this, usually right after finishing, so that we chat about all the awesome stuff that they've achieved, we chat about where they were before, and just paint the picture for those of you that tune in and listen as to just what their game changers were and what allowed them to achieve the level of success that they did. So in Kathryn's scenario, she achieved some amazing results, which you'll see just here through some of her actual before and after photos, if you will. In Kathryn's sort of scenario, we actually finished up our coaching close to a year ago, and there's a reason why I wanted to align having this call now was so that you can actually see that she actually maintained her results long after working together, because typically when people go through 8-week challenges, short-term periods of coaching and whatever, yes, they get some cool results, but they don't actually maintain what they achieve for very long. So in my opinion, that actually didn't really work, because if you can't maintain something, well, then it didn't sufficiently allow you to build a lifestyle that would allow you to then keep the results that you got. So in Kathryn's sort of scenario, she's an amazing mum full of so much love and was in a really bad place, but we took her to an amazing place, which you're going to hear just in this interview right now. Let's get stuck into it. What's going on, everyone? Here we have the mighty Kathryn, as I introduced just before, the superstar herself. Kathryn is an absolute champion, and you would have heard before when I was just giving her some significance, talking about how she's actually running a really cool Thermomix business, which is going to actually be launched in the coming weeks. So she's a passionate mum, she's someone that loves health and fitness and has absolutely kicked some serious goals and achieved some mega hustle whilst working together. And obviously our aim of the game today is just to highlight some of the awesome achievements that she's had, and to be able to, I guess, carry it forward to you listening, how you can apply that within yourself so that you can actually elevate your own level of results and success personally. So Kathryn, welcome once again, my friend. So excited to have you here. Oh yeah, that's it. So why don't you set the scene for those guys that are tuning in? Why don't you share some insight into your backstory and I guess where you were at before we actually crossed paths together?
Oh, so look, I've always been into health and fitness and sports really, and then I started full-time work, and I got really big, like probably over 100 kilos in my early 20s. And then decided very quickly I needed to do something about that. But that then started this, yo-yo of, this up and down. I couldn't sort of really find a way to maintain it. All the education I was able to get my hands on was around, weight loss, not necessarily fat loss. And it just was more restrictive eating. The further you got in, the less you got to eat, the harder you had to work, and the smaller your gains or your successes. And I got to a point where I got down to like really low kilos for me. Like I'm quite tall and broad, and I was sort of sitting at 60 kilos, which is like, as people were saying, you look really sick, but I was just kind of wanting the next step. I wanted more, but then of course I couldn't maintain that, so I got fat again. I was devastated because I'd worked so hard to get down there, and I just couldn't find this way to be, I guess, just me, like where I was happy to be. Unless I was working towards it and kind of smashing myself, I didn't know just how to settle, So cue Angus, really.
Yeah, that's it. And then bam, Angus, the knight in shining armor, comes along to rescue you, as they say, hey? So clearly you weren't really in too much of a good place there. How was that actually impacting, your own sort of personal life? Your relationship with yourself? Like, give some insight into, I guess, where you were at personally.
Struggling in my head all the time, and it was sort of this preoccupation all the time with food and what I'd be eating, and like I've got to get to the gym and I've got to do this. Oh no, I've had chocolate, I'm done for. Like, I've ruined it, I'll throw it away, and it was this continual kind of go off the wagon on maybe over the weekend, and then come Monday be really restrictive and controlled, and lo and behold it blew out again on the weekend because I couldn't maintain it, and I'd see girls at the gym with like the physique that I wanted, and I'd be like, so I'd try to talk to them. One of them was a trainer at the gym. I thought, fantastic, and through all the different things that I've done, like I kind of knew what I was doing roughly with my workouts. I was pretty happy that I could do something there. But I knew it had to come down to eating, you know, because these people, I saw them at the cafe and they were smashing, like eating this glorious food. And I was there with my apple and lettuce leaf, you know. So I had a bit of a chat and I said, look, how are you doing it? And she basically laughed at me and would not give me the information, and I offered to pay for her time. She said, no, I'll train you. I said, no, I don't really want training. I want the information so I can do it myself, you know. And I got snubbed pretty hard. So I felt like a complete loser. You know, and you know, it just sort of, you know, it messes with everything, really. You know, my husband used to say, you know, I couldn't, you know, just sort of go out for dinner on a whim because I'd have to kind of go, well, you know, no, I'm on a diet. I can't go out, you know, or it was so, you know, it was affecting other relationships too.
Yeah, so obviously it was having its impact upon you, but then also a bit of a ripple effect to other areas. And like clearly the name of the game there, what's ringing true, is that you weren't enjoying your journey, and obviously as part of that it meant that, you know, you were facing those daily sort of battles and struggles. So what was it that actually personally drew you to I guess wanting to work with me? What was it that stuck out? I was just like, this is a bit different, this is, you know what I mean? Can you remember what that was?
Yeah, I think you know, I was looking for something, obviously. Came across you on the internet, and I was like, this kind of just sounds like what I'm after. It was the fact that it sort of was a set you up, let me help set you up so that you know how to do it. And I was like, well, that's exactly what I want. You know, I don't want to have to be committed for the next 50 years to a program just to maintain a result. I wanted the education, the knowledge around it. Definitely needed the support, and so it was kind of the combination of all of those things that kind of made me go, this is the time, the place, and the dude to do it.
Yeah, fantastic. So for those of you that are tuning in, Kathryn was able to achieve some really nice body composition change in the way that, like, she was so accustomed to weight loss, which is usually where we're so fixated upon hitting a certain scale figure that we often lose sight of how we're looking because we're so fixated on hitting a certain number. So with Kathryn, our focus was just on, cool, how can we get you eating as much as possible so that we're getting you not only towards a suitable scale figure, but that we're only losing body fat and therefore changing the way that you look and best setting you up to maintain. In other words, you're not like digging yourself into a hole where you're eating next to nothing to try and maintain a certain body weight, which is just ridiculous. So obviously for yourself, Kathryn, like, we didn't just magically achieve kick-ass success without any work, but for yourself personally, what were the game changes, do you think, for yourself that basically allowed us to take you towards this awesome place that you are now? What was it that personally stuck out for you?
I think the idea that there's no bad food. There's not a food that's like gonna destroy your efforts, you know, like that was a big thing that, you know, like when I kind of realised that you could eat broccoli all day, but if you ate too much of it, you put on weight. And so that for me kind of, I don't know, like released my mind in some way that I could then concentrate on other things. That definitely, like, you know, that the right kinds of workouts at the gym, like doing the weights, which like I'd sort of touched on, but I hadn't really in the scheme of things done it. So that the change up of the usage of my time at the gym made it a massive difference. And obviously then, you know, because I was working with weights in the gym, I could eat more, which meant I had even more freedom with all this awesome food. And, you know, using like, you know, your apps like MYFITNESSPAL and whatever, just to kind of track through where you are. You know, I was really easily able to plan like days, so I could make sure that if I knew I wanted to have that ice cream or whatever it was at the end of that day, that was the first thing that went in, and the rest of the day planned around that to make sure that happened. And I mean, that was so successful for me. I went away on hens weekends, and, you know, I was still able to kind of through that management and planning go out and have the dinners and the drinks of the evening while still kind of, you know, hitting and achieving all of my goals, you know. So they were the big things for me.
And obviously I can remember you actually kind of, like, I guess you can call it a state of semi-shock, and it was just like, like, where's all the cardio? It's just like, we're not all about that.
It's my training time. How many times I meant to run this dog today? Yeah, because, you know, I've that's where I was at with it. Like, it was just, you know, you want to burn calories. I mean, with cardio, you've got to go and do it. So if you want to burn 500 calories of cardio, you've got to move your backside for 500 calories on burn, and then that's it. You don't get 501. So it was a forever state of do more. So I was really, really shocked that I was, sort of smashing out, good hard sessions at the gym, and then was home, within the hour. It was awesome.
That's it. And obviously what was cool, I remember for yourself as well, was like, and as you touched on just earlier, was the whole aspect of just like, it being a very sort of real struggle for you to be social because your dieting and stuff was so rigid and very sort of boxed in by rules and kind of like limitations with food. So like you obviously changing your paradigm with food towards just obviously this, which is just like, right, nothing is good or bad. It's just a means of what do I want to be able to fit in, when do I want to eat it, and therefore just kind of, really embracing that freedom aspect to it. So fast forward to where you are now. Obviously our coaching finished up a while ago, and you've obviously carried these values through with you. What do you think has been some of the, I guess, cool things that's allowed you to maintain this lifestyle and not fall back into bad habits that you used to have?
Yeah, look, I think it's the flexible nature of it, like, flexible fat loss. It's that there's not a regime to follow, that I can wake up one day and just want carbs, and if I can organise it and plan it in such a way that can happen, fantastic. There are other days that I don't want that, so I don't have it. Like, it's sort of, I might want the chips or the chocolate, or, we're going out for a barbecue. It's just because I've got the knowledge now that nobody besides you would give me. I can now sort of use that knowledge to my advantage to flexibly still kind of sit where I want to sit and do what I want to do, and not have it impact every other facet of my life. And I think that's the big thing. Like you do any other program, you've got to smash X amount of calories a day or burn them, and then you've got to do this and that. And look, you know what, for a period of 6 to 8 weeks, maybe you can do that. And like the rest of your family, as a mother, a wife, business owner, my husband's a business owner, you can take time for yourself in that really intense nature. But then, like, at some point, your other, things, they're not jobs, they're your children, and the things that you love doing, they have to come back in, and I think that's what makes this a long-term solution rather than a short, sharp and frenzy. And it's certainly far more enjoyable. Yeah.
Oh, definitely, for sure. And like, I can personally relate to a lot of what you said there, in the way that, like, my history, and for those of you that are tuning in that aren't aware of this, I actually used to be very similar to Kathryn in the way that, like, I, just like everyone else, you usually think that the norm is that you need to be, like, hustling all the time, that it needs to be hard, that you need to feel hungry, that you can only eat super clean, and that everything else is bad. But then you actually do want that stuff, and, this can get to binge eating and all sorts of crazy shit, really. But then when it came to, obviously, me embracing this lifestyle as well, like, you're only really actually super diligent with tracking when you're serious about actually getting some fat loss happening. But if you know that you're happy to just maintain and kind of, just cruise along, if you will, this is where actually having that period of hustle where you're actually tracking things and stuff like that, it allows you to build a really good awareness of what's actually in food, so that you can actually legitimately mindfully eat. Because someone who hasn't learnt this sort of stuff, yes, you can mindfully eat, but you still have zero idea as to, how much calories you're taking in, whatever, and therefore if progress stalls, you've got no understanding at how to actually move forward. With what Kathryn said,
I haven't used MYFITNESSPAL for a while now, but I mean, like, realistically, you kind of eat the same sorts of things. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's sort of, you might do different things with your beef, but you generally have beef. Your breakfast tends to be the same. So once you've like you said, done the hustle and gone through and really kind of applied yourself to the learning phase with you, then you're able to kind of in the maintenance phase of it all, just kind of almost go off an automated MYFITNESSPAL, because you know it.
Yeah. So clearly what's been a takeaway there for you there is that you now also see food in an entirely different light. Before, it was just whatever you classified as, but basically it wasn't really keeping you in a good headspace and way of operation. And now we're in a place where it's just like, cool, you're seeing, all food as what can be utilized for fuel, for energy, for your performance, for your happiness, and clearly you're in a much better headspace and means of sustainability, which is fantastic. So, big claps to you. That's absolutely awesome. Love it. So, yourself, my friend, why would you recommend for those that are in a place where they're lost, like what you used to be, to, I guess, get amongst Boss Fitness? What is it that you love the most? What were some of the things that are valuable for you throughout your time of coaching that, obviously these people listening can take away for themselves?
Sure. Look, I'm a serial, kind of program doer. This is the last program that I've done. I haven't done anything else. I haven't been on a diet. I haven't done some weird and wonderful thing. Like the program that I did was it, and I'm really happy that we didn't do this a month out of me finishing. Like this is coming up to close to a year, I think. And so I'm really happy to be able to sit here and say 100% I'm still able to implement it. So, I think, for me, I would recommend people because, you need the support to learn it. There's a whole changing of mindsets that need to happen, and you kind of need the guru to talk you through it. I mean, if you read some of our, Facebook messages and stuff, you'd think I was probably a looper. I needed that support. I needed to know that I hadn't, I've eaten this, Angus, like have I ruined the last 3 weeks worth of work, So it's kind of that accessibility to you during that time when you need it. It's the knowledge that you gain that no one else seems to be able to or willing to share, and it's a game changer. Like it's so simple. It is ridiculously simple that once you've got it and you put it into practice and you see that it works and you're not stressing over it. I mean, I can't do anything but recommend it. It's changed my life, my relationships, not just like myself with food and myself with myself. I mean, I've constantly felt like a failure because I kept falling off this impossible bandwagon. Whereas realistically now, I'm not on a bandwagon. I am just on the wagon of life, and it's fantastic. Yeah.
No, you're just living like an absolute boss off that wheel and just enjoying. What it's like to thrive, in my opinion, because when you're stuck in that hamster wheel, as you said, you're hustling but not seeing the fruits from your labour. It just literally feels like you're existing in the way that you know that you've got potential, that you've got these goals, but it's just like, well, shit, how do I get there?
Yeah, and I think you're always so preoccupied with it that your mind's not free for anything else. Like, the business idea and the business development that's happening, I honestly believe it's because my mind is clear of all the rubbish. I don't need to worry about that stuff anymore. So my mind can go off and create and do and be, and helping me achieve in other areas too. So it's so much bigger than just kind of the food you put in your mouth, or your little jiggly bit that you're worried about. Like it gets to be even bigger than that. Like it's a game changer.
Fantastic. Awesome, my friend. Really appreciate you sharing, and super grateful to be able to have shared in your journey. And I know that for those listening, hopefully it's inspired you, and I know that obviously others, it's just going to continue to pave the way for this flexible way of doing things, because fat loss, yes, it can be achieved in multiple different ways. But the idea here is just like, in my opinion, like it needs to be sustainable and enjoyable from day one. Otherwise, it's not going to be enjoyable and sustainable for you at day 90 and onwards when it comes to maintaining. So in other words, adapting the mindset that is beginning with the end in mind. And I remember telling that to Kathryn as well, and I'm sure she can understand why I said that now in the way that she's actually living now, similar to how we started, which was eating any foods, learning how to make workouts, actually count and not prioritize the stuff that's shit. And therefore, she's carrying it forward, and I'm sure she'll carry it forward long into the future as long as she values her health. But big virtual fist bump for you, my friend. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
Love your work.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. Good luck, everyone. Just keep at it, hey?
Holy moly! There we go. What an amazing chat with Kathryn, and I hope that you listening got some killer takeaways from everything we spoke about. And as you can see, fat loss shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't be something where you're, sort of like a slave to your routine, you're a slave to food, and where you're putting in so much hustle but not seeing the fruits from your labor. And I see so commonly that women specifically, you're doing so much stuff, but a lot of it is actually irrelevant to your goals. And obviously what this then does is it causes your journey to be full of ups and downs. You're not enjoying yourself each day. You're feeling pretty deflated and frustrated with the fact that just like you're not seeing results, and therefore you start to question, am I eating enough? Is what I'm doing, right? Like what are the right foods? Like all this sort of stuff, and therefore so much guesswork, so much confusion, and so much overwhelm, which leads to people stopping and starting and getting into binge eating and all this sort of crazy shit. Yeah. So hopefully from you yourself personally, if you've listened to this and you're now feeling kind of just, well, yes, inspired by the fact that you can achieve some awesome success, but also kind of just like, you know, fuck, can I actually do this by myself anymore? Like, what I'd highly suggest that you do is, like Kathryn, get in touch with me for a chat. Please, please, please. You can get amongst any of the links just below, and we'll chat one-to-one. We'll connect with exactly where you are, get clear on where you want to be, and then see what needs to be done to be able to move you from A to B in the most sustainable and enjoyable way possible, okay? Because if you keep doing what you've been doing and expect different results, this is pretty much insanity, okay? And in other words, 6 to 12 months from now, you'll be stuck in the exact same place, okay? So don't let fear hold you back here. If you know that you're stuck and that you would benefit from some help, click below, get in touch, and I'd love to help you go, just to achieve your potential and really just allow you to live your best life, so that health, nutrition and stuff doesn't hold you back anymore, and therefore you can love yourself, okay? Truly, it's an amazing thing, because once you master health, you will receive and achieve abundance in all areas of your life, I promise you. And hey, please, if you found this video awesome, make sure you give it a like, okay? Comment below, ask some questions if you want. Let's keep the conversation going. And if you're new to this channel and this is one of the first videos that you've watched, please make sure that you hit subscribe and stay tuned for all my future videos, all right? So much love, guys. See you next time in the Boss Fitness world. Catch you later.